Warriors fans, you know the drill. All you gotta do is hit that sub button because sub equals Warriors dubs. For every subscriber this channel gets means another dub will be added to the Warriors book. I want to know how you guys are feeling about Chris Paul in the Bay Area because there was a lot of speculation over the summer when Chris Paul was traded that he was just there to be trade bait. Essentially, if a bigger trade came along, then Chris Paul and his name would be shipped out to adhere to that new player. However, it looks like Chris Paul is fitting in pretty well. So, Dubs fans, how do we feel about Chris Paul's future now in the Bay Area? He could possibly retire a Warrior. He seems to be fitting in with the offense pretty well. But now if Chris Paul stays, what will a possible future trade look like? Well, first, let's dive into Chris Paul's first 4 games with the Warriors. He has the fewest turnovers on the team with 1.5. I know Steve Kerr is loving that. And also 8.2 assists per game leads the team, which also is helping Curry be Curry. And he has the most steals on the team with 2 a game. He's been an asset on offense and on defense. While his stats aren't blowing up on paper, he's really making a difference on the court. So that raises a question of whether or not Chris Paul is going to be in the Bay Area for the long haul. So if a trade came along, would they actually end up trading Chris Paul, or they now have to go to a younger player? Well, if you have to look at the money side of it, Chris Paul is about $30 million a year, and the next player up would be Andrew Wiggins, who's about almost $25 million a year. And then, of course, it gets lower and lower and lower with Gary Payton and Kevon Looney and JK. Well, the team did just announce that JK and Moses Moody, they did take them on their 4th year extension. They did add on that option, so they can stay in the Bay Area for another year. They did lock that down. However, the 2 closest in salary caps would be Chris Paul and Andrew Wiggins. And I know how Warriors fans feel about Andrew Wiggins. I was just talking to Chase Sr. a minute ago, who used to host this channel. We were talking about how the Warriors fans on this channel, they really love Wiggins. But if the money added up, could you possibly get somebody big for him? Well, in the meantime, I want you guys to hear about Prize Picks. It is our sponsor here on Warriors Today. It's my favorite daily fantasy sports app. There's a reason why it's the #1 daily fantasy sports app, because these are my picks right here. I have Kristaps Porzingis having more than 19.5 points, Julius Randle having more than 9.5 rebounds, and Steph Curry, of course, having more than 5.5 assists. And I know you're asking me, Allie, how did you make these picks? How'd you do that? Well, all you have to do is pick between 2 to 6 players, their projected stats, and just click more or less. And I picked games for the NBA. You can do this for the NFL, MLB, multiple sports, and multiple players. All you have to do is pick your favorites, and you could possibly win up to 25 times your money on any entry. If you guys want to play, all you have to do is go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use promo code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100 and watch yourself win some real money in real time. Well, we broke down the money side of it all, but now let's actually ask the question of who has more value on the court. Right now, CP is 3rd on the team in minutes per game, and of course, Klay Thompson has sat out, JK has sat out, Draymond sat out, but Looney's in 4th and Wiggins is in 5th, with Green in 6th for now. So I understand injuries do take a plague on this, but ultimately, Chris Paul seems to be a pretty big asset for the Warriors' offense and defense, averaging about 30 minutes per game. Well, Steph Curry sure likes playing with Chris Paul. He said, so when it comes in his 19th year, and it looks different than earlier in his career, but he makes his presence felt. It's looking exactly like we thought. Obviously, Game 4, we got to keep getting back with our chemistry. So Curry even knows it's still really early in the season, but overall, he's been enemies with Chris Paul. Now he's teammates, and he really sees the asset Chris Paul provides. If Chris Paul isn't averaging 8.2 assists per game, Curry may not be having the points per game he's been having. He's still Steph Curry, so I'm not saying this is all on Chris Paul, but still, those assists matter. Well, I want to ask you guys, do you guys like CP3 on the Warriors so far? Comment CP3 if you want him to stay. I think Chris Paul has been a great asset to Steph Curry and the Warriors. I did not see this playing out the way it has. The Warriors look amazing, almost like the 2016 Warriors all over again, and I do think Chris Paul plays a big part in that. However, on the other hand, Andrew Wiggins is not off to a hot start. Before you come at me in the comments, It's just 4 games. I know we have a long time to play, but ultimately, he hasn't been off to a great start. He's got 9 rebounds and 43 points in 102 minutes. He's admitted he's got to do better. So this is not just me. But Wiggins' contract does end in 2026-27, so the Warriors could possibly send him to another team if that does mean they acquire somebody else. Not saying they should, but they could if he doesn't step it up. Well, Wiggins knows what he has to do. He said Loon was playing good, Draymond was playing good, Clay was playing good. Everyone was playing good. Stuff happens. The coaches make a decision that's best. We won the game. As long as we keep winning, I'm fine. I got to give them a reason not to take me out. Rebound more. I can do more. Wiggins knows that right now he's not in the closing lineup, but that may not be the same come game 60, come game 70. But the Warriors do need a big. You guys know it. I know it. They're lacking some size out there. So if they were to possibly get, a trade offer with the Atlanta Hawks, would you guys be willing to give up Andrew Wiggins for a hypothetical trade here? No one's saying this is going to happen. But let's say you get Clint Capella and Sadiq Bey. That's a really good offer from the Atlanta Hawks, and that would solve your big problem. All you'd have to do is give away Andrew Wiggins and a second-round pick, and this money matches up. So now that this offer has been right there in your face, would you still be willing to give up Chris Paul, or would you be willing to give up somebody like Andrew Wiggins? A little bit different in age, very different in size, but there's a lot on the table there. So I want to ask you guys again, which one would you trade if you had to? Type 3 for Chris Paul, type 22 for Andrew Wiggins. I know Wiggy means a lot to Warriors fans. I think he's fantastic. I think he has great potential, and he can do great things in the Bay Area. I also really like Chris Paul, what he's been doing. He's a veteran. He's been there. He's done that, and he needs to get a ring before he retires. So this is a tough decision. Type 3 or type 22. Ultimately, I think you're about to head into your 5th game of the season. A lot of things could change. I'm very realistic in the sense that I don't want to see either of these players go, but sometimes you have to give some things up to get some things. And the Warriors really need a big. So far, I've loved Chris Paul in a Warriors uniform. I can't wait to see Wiggins step it up and be the player that we all know and love. And even JK and Moody having more time off the bench, a healthy Klay Thompson, a healthy Draymond Green, and an MVP Curry. That's a pretty good season to me. I need you guys to go ahead and hit that sub button for me. Anything you possibly ever need to know about the Golden State Warriors, you're going to find right here on Warriors Today, whether it's trade rumors, whether it's talking about Warriors need a big, or whether the Warriors just got a dub. Hit that sub button for me.